Welcome back, nerds. This is Sam bringing you part two of podcast game 163. I've got some more fun rounds for you today. We've got round four, short answer themes. We've got round five, postal abbreviations. And then for the Spotify subscribers, the paid Spotify subscribers, we'll talk more about that after round five. I got a sixth round for you. Group of 10, a How I Met Your Mother theme group of 10. We'll talk about that and how you become a paid Spotify subscriber after round number five. But let's get after it. We're going to play round number four, short answer themes. Let's do this. All right, round number four, short answer themes. This one goes out to Babs, who listens along with her husband and son. Thanks for reaching out, and thank you for that 5-star rating on Spotify. In your honor, for this round, every answer is going to be connected to someone named Barbara or Babs. Could be real, could be fictional. Barbara or Babs could be in the answer. Barbara or Babs could just be associated with the answer. This is all things Barbara, all things Babs. Thank you, Babs. Appreciate you. Let's go. Let's go. Item number one for this 2001 nonfiction bestseller, Barbara Ehrenreich worked a series of low-wage jobs in an effort to examine the challenges faced by America's working poor. Name that book that a lot of you probably had to read in college. All right, number two. Here is the lyric. I'm going to give you the start. You finish it off. The lyric goes, "They're furry, they're funny. What are those next 5 words?" They're furry, they're funny. Finish that lyric. All right, number 3. Barbara Eden is most famous for starring as a 2,000-year-old in this sitcom that aired from 1965 to 1970. Name that sitcom. All right, number 4. This ABC reality series based on the British series Dragon's Den has featured a Barbara in its main cast since its 2009 debut. What is that ABC reality series? All right, number 5. In this song, first recorded by the Regents in 1961, the narrator tried Peggy Sue, Peggy Lou, and Mary Lou before turning his attention to the song's title character. What song am I talking about? All right, number 6. Alive from 1925 to 2018, this person, who narrowly missed being an answer in an earlier round, was inspired by her son Neil's struggles with dyslexia to dedicate much of her public life to promoting literacy. Who is that? All right, number 7. Number 7. This comic book character made headlines when a big budget film centered around her was unprecedentedly canceled in post-production in 2022. The character had previously been seen in theaters, portrayed by Alicia Silverstone in 1997, and in Lego form, voiced by Rosario Dawson in 2017. Which character am I talking about? All right, number 8. Once America's highest paid actress, this star of Hollywood's golden age appeared in films such as Double Indemnity, Stella Dallas, Ball of Fire, and Sorry, Wrong Number, before later portraying Victoria Barkley on the television western The Big Valley. Who am I talking about? Number 9. Named for an EGOT-winning actress, this term originated in 2003 to describe the phenomenon in which attempts to hide, censor, or suppress information unintentionally draw more attention to it. What are we talking about? And then number 10. This person was interviewed by Barbara Walters in a 2020 broadcast that became one of America's most watched television interviews of all time when it aired in March 1999. Who am I talking about? All right, everybody, pause now if you want more time. We're going to go over those again, but then we're going to reveal the answers. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Number one, starting with the book you might have read in college. Number one for this 2001 nonfiction bestseller, Barbara Ehrenreich worked a series of low-wage jobs in an effort to examine the challenges faced by America's working poor. Name that book. Yeah, I definitely read that in college. I think we all had to at UW Eau Claire. I know when I did this in the live game, we had a lot of people not get the name of this book. And then they're like, oh, you're right. I did read that in college. It was assigned reading, I think, in a lot of schools. It was called Nickel and Dimed by Barbara Ehrenreich. Nickel and Dimed. All right, number two, finish this lyric. They're furry. They're funny. What are the next 5 words? They're furry. They're funny. The next 5 words are they're Babs and Buster Bunny from the theme song to Tiny Toons. Any 90s kid should have gotten that one. My wife, see, you think you know someone. We've been married almost 9 years. She didn't know what Tiny Toons was. She was completely lost on that one. We just completely different childhoods, I guess. But they're furry, they're funny. They're Babs and Buster Bunny. All right, number 3. Barbara Eden is most famous for starring as a 2,000-year-old in this sitcom that aired from 1965 to 1970. Yeah, that's going to be I Dream of Jeannie. All right, number 4. Number 4, this ABC reality series based on the British series Dragon's Den has featured a Barbara in its main cast since its 2009 debut. Yeah, and I think the British series Dragon's Den was actually based on a Japanese series. So shout out Japan. I didn't know how to concisely word both Japan and Britain into there, so sorry, Japan. We love you, though. Anyway, that show featuring a Barbara in its main cast, Barbara Corcoran, we're talking about Shark Tank. Is it Corcoran or Cochran? I don't know. My wife watches that show a lot. I don't watch it as much. Definitely know it. Shark Tank. All right, number 5. Number 5. In this song, first recorded by the Regents in 1961, the narrator tried Peggy Sue, Peggy Lou, and Mary Lou before turning his attention to the song's title character. Yeah, it was first recorded by the Regents. You probably are more familiar with the Beach Boys version. We're talking about Barbara Ann. All right, number 6. Number 6, alive from 1925 to 2018. This person, who narrowly missed being an answer in an earlier round, was inspired by her son Neil's struggles with dyslexia to dedicate much of her public life to promoting literacy. Yeah. Quick shout out to my teachers out there. I'm sure a lot of you probably listened to that Sold a Story podcast, and I learned all about the 2 Bush first ladies and their efforts with literacy. In this case, we're talking about Barbara Bush. Barbara Bush. And for everyone else, the Sold a Story podcast, pretty interesting about how we weren't teaching kids phonics for like 20 years. Insane. It's definitely a good listen. I think you don't have to be a teacher to listen to it. My mom gave it a listen and enjoyed it. I encourage you guys to too. It's pretty revealing. Anyway, number 7. Number 7, this comic book character made headlines when a big budget film centered around her was unprecedentedly canceled in post-production in 2022. The character had previously been seen in theaters portrayed by Alicia Silverstone in 1997 and in Lego form, voiced by Rosario Dawson in 2017. Yeah, we're talking about Batgirl or Barbara Gordon. I think in Batman and Robin, when Alicia Silverstone portrayed her, her name was Barbara, but I don't think her last name was Gordon. She was supposed to be Alfred's niece rather than Commissioner Gordon's daughter. But Barbara Gordon or Batgirl, both acceptable answers. Some of you probably were showing off and gave me both. That's cool. I love it. All right, number 8. Once America's highest paid actress, this star of Hollywood's golden age appeared in films such as Double Indemnity, Stella Dallas, Ball of Fire, and Sorry, Wrong Number, before later portraying Victoria Barkley on the television western The Big Valley. Yeah, that's going to be Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck. I don't know if I've ever seen a Barbara Stanwyck movie. I might have to give one a try. All right, number 9. Name for an EGOT winning actress. This term originated in 2003 to describe the phenomenon in which attempts to hide, censor, or suppress information unintentionally draw more attention to it. Yeah, so this is referring to there was some sort of weather phenomenon in LA, or at least in the LA area, and footage of storm damage, or again, it was some kind of weather phenomenon. I'm going to say storm, damaged the neighborhood that Barbara Streisand was living in. And so Barbara Streisand's house, right, images of Barbara Streisand's house were published. And I don't know if it was her or her people tried to get those images removed, and that made the story blow up. And so more people saw those images than ever would have if they would have just left it alone. So that is called, right, when you try to remove information, try to censor something, and that just brings more attention to it and causes more people to see it. That is now called the Streisand effect. The Streisand effect. All right, number 10, our last one. This person, interviewed by Barbara Walters in a 2020 broadcast that became one of America's most watched television interviews of all time when it aired in March of 1999. Who was that person? Interviewed by Barbara Walters in 1999. March of 1999 is when it aired. Who was that person? Becomes one of America's most watched interviews of all time. A lot of you guessed Michael Jackson. That is incorrect. Michael Jackson was interviewed in one of the most watched interviews of all time, but he was interviewed by Oprah. The person who was interviewed by Barbara Walters in one of America's most watched interviews of all time, Monica Lewinsky. Monica Lewinsky. And I guess they kind of developed a little bit of a friendship that lasted for the rest of Barbara Walters' life. So kind of an interesting story there. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you, Babs. Thank you, family of Babs. Appreciate you all. Thank you for that 5-star rating. All right, that was round number 4, short answer themes. Coming up, we got round number 5. We're going to play postal abbreviations. All right, let's do this. Round number 5, postal abbreviations. It's World Cup season. I'm hoping the United States wins, but I also have a huge soft spot for the country that taught me to like soccer. And yes, I do call it soccer. I apologize, but I do have a big soft spot for England, and they are playing their first game today. And so I'm excited. If it can't be won by the United States, which again, I'm still hoping for, but if it can't be won by the United States, I will always hope that it's coming home. So let's do it. It's coming home. I'm wearing my 2006 England jersey right now. 2006 England jersey right now. Hope you like it if you're watching on the video. If you're just listening, can't see it, but it's awesome. Anyway, the World Cup is being played right now. It's being played in stadiums located across 11 U.S. states and Canadian provinces. There's 3 stadiums in Mexico it's being played into, but for the sake of this round, we're leaving those Mexican locations out. Again, that's for the sake of the game. We love Mexico. We love Mexico. So no disrespect towards Mexico. It just wouldn't work for this round if I included those ones. So just think about the 11 U.S. states and Canadian provinces that the World Cup is being hosted in. And while those 11 answers are going to have, while those 11 U.S. states and Canadian provinces, while they're going to have, you don't need to know anything about the World Cup to play this round and enjoy this round. These answers are going to have nothing to do with soccer. But if you can think of, okay, what provinces, what states might the World Cup be hosted in? All of the answers here are going to have initials that match the postal abbreviations of those 11 states and provinces. All right, we played this one before, but we don't play it that often. Hope that all made sense. So these 11 answers, and I got 11, not 10. These 11 answers, their initials are all going to correspond with the postal abbreviations for those 11 states and provinces. Again, hope that made sense. Let's play. Let's play. Here we go. Here we go. Item number one. Item number one. Historically, this has involved using crocodile dung in ancient Egypt and lemon halves in 18th century Europe. Today, it is an industry that Yahoo reported had an estimated value of $21.14 billion in 2025. What am I talking about? All right, number two. This person was behind the Let's Move initiative, which had the stated goal of solving the challenge of childhood obesity. All right, number three, this 7-country region lies between the Isthmus of Tehuantepec and the Darien Gap. What am I talking about? All right, number four, the wardrobe of Richard Gere's title character in the 1980 film American Gigolo helped launch the global fame of this Italian fashion designer who lived from 1934 to 2025. Who's that? All right, number five. All right, I'm going to read you some lyrics. Those lyrics are, they crawled out of the woodwork and they whispered into your brain. They set you on the treadmill and they made you change your name. Those lyrics were sung about a woman better known by her stage name. But what was the woman's birth name as sung in the song's opening line? They crawled out of the woodwork. They whispered into your brain. They set you on the treadmill and they made you change your name. Again, that is a song about a woman better known by her stage name. But what was her birth name as sung in the song's opening line? All right, number six. We're bringing up the Lego movie again. I love it. All right, number six. After voicing a prominent character in the Lego movie franchise, this actor went on to host the reality competition series Lego Masters. Who would that be? All right, number seven. This 1998 dramedy is based on the life of a real-life doctor who sought to brighten the spirits of his hospitalized patients, as well as on his book, Gesundheit, Good Health is a Laughing Matter. What is that 1998 dramedy? All right, number eight. Launched in 1963 with red, orange, and yellow pieces, this breakfast cereal later added green, blue, and purple pieces in the 1990s. Despite the variety of colors, each piece tastes the same. What am I talking about? All right. Number 9, killed in 1793, the legacy of this royal lives on through a 2006 biopic starring a member of the Spider-Man cast and by inspiring the nickname given to Adam Banks in 1992's The Mighty Ducks. All right, number 10. Number 10. This city is home to Berkshire Hathaway, the Union Pacific Railroad, and the College World Series. What am I talking about? And then number 11. This is a two-parter. You'll understand why once you figure out the answer. This is a two-parter. All right, first, this hot sauce brand from Avery Island, Louisiana, debuted in 1868. And then second, this rapper hosted Pimp My Ride from 2004 to 2007. Give me both parts of that answer. All right, went over each of those ones. Pause now if you want more time. Going to go over those again, and then I'm going to reveal the answers. All right, number one. Historically, this has involved using crocodile dung in ancient Egypt and lemon halves in 18th century Europe. Today, it is an industry that Yahoo reported had an estimated value of $21.14 billion in 2025. What would that be? Yes, shout out to Vancouver, British Columbia. So the postal abbreviation BC. We are talking about birth control. Now, if you said, oh, it's contraception, but how does that work with a postal abbreviation? I will count that. I'll count that. If you had a different word that means the same thing, I will count that. But technically, so it matches with BC, British Columbia. We are talking about birth control. All right, next one. This person was behind the Let's Move initiative, which had the stated goal of solving the challenge of childhood obesity. Yeah, shout out to Kansas City, Missouri. MO, the postal abbreviation. We have another first lady. This is the game of the first ladies. This one, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama. All right, number 3. The 7-country region lies between the Isthmus of Tehuantepec and the Darien Gap. Name that region. Yes, shout out to Inglewood in Santa Clara, California. Postal abbreviation CA. We are talking about Central America. All right, give me 1 second. All right, number 4. Sorry, my little boy came in there. I'm a dad on summer break and doing my best to publish the trivia. It's a rainy day here, so there's not a lot that they can do. Hey, it is what it is. Sorry, I'm not always the most professional podcaster. All right. Sorry, we are on number 4. Number 4, the wardrobe of Richard Gere's title character in the 1980 film American Gigolo helped launch the global fame of this Italian fashion designer who lived from 1934 to 2025. Yes, shout out to Atlanta, Georgia. Postal abbreviation GA. We are talking about Giorgio Armani. All right, number 5. The lyrics go, they crawled out of the woodwork and they whispered into your brain. They set you on a treadmill and they made you change your name. Those lyrics are sung about a woman better known by her stage name. But what was the woman's birth name as sung in the song's opening line? Yeah, that line, right? So first of all, shout out to Rutherford, New Jersey, postal abbreviation NJ. Right, we're talking about Goodbye, Norma Jean. Right, the original version of Candle in the Wind, written about Marilyn Monroe. Goodbye, Norma Jean. NJ for New Jersey. All right, number 6. After voicing a prominent character in the Lego Movie franchise, this actor went on to host the reality competition series Lego Masters. Yeah, not only am I talking about, right, the Lego Movie again, I am talking about Lego Batman characters again. We are talking about, well, so shout out to Seattle, Washington, postal abbreviation WA. We are talking about Will Arnett. Will Arnett. All right, number 7. This 1998 dramedy is based on the life of a real-life doctor who sought to brighten the spirits of his hospitalized patients, as well as on his book, Gesundheit, Good Health is a Laughing Matter. All right. Shout out Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Postal abbreviation PA. We're talking about the Robin Williams movie, Patch Adams. All right, number 8. Launched in 1963 with red, orange, and yellow pieces, this breakfast cereal later added green, blue, and purple pieces in the 1990s. Despite the variety of colors, each piece tastes the same. What am I talking about? Yeah, shout out Miami Gardens, Florida, postal abbreviation FL. We're talking about Fruit Loops. All right, number 9. Number 9, killed in 1793. The legacy of this royal lives on through a 2006 biopic starring a member of a Spider-Man cast, starring a member from the Spider-Man cast, and then inspiring the nickname given to Adam Banks in 1992's The Mighty Ducks. Who is that person? Who is that royal killed in 1793? With a legacy that lives on a lot of ways, but part of the way their legacy lives on is through a 2006 biopic starring a member from the Spider-Man cast, as well as by inspiring the nickname given to Adam Banks in the 1992 movie, The Mighty Ducks. Yeah. So Adam Banks was called the Cake Eater in The Mighty Ducks. Now, right, I live in Minnesota. I am from Wisconsin, though. Thinking back, I don't know if we use the term cake eater. In Minnesota, that term is used a lot. It's used a lot to basically describe a place that is kind of bougie, kind of fancy. You call like entire suburbs. You'll be like, okay, that's where the cake eaters live. Now, I don't know. I think sometimes it's kind of silly and not totally true. And even if it is, like, who cares? Why are we calling people names? But that's a term. It's common in Minnesota. I didn't come up with it, but it made its way into the Mighty Ducks. So who inspired that term? Well, shout out to Foxborough, Massachusetts, postal abbreviation MA. We're talking about Marie Antoinette. Now, if you're on Spotify, this week's poll is going to be, are you familiar with the term cake eater? Do you guys use that where you live? Or is that just something that we say in Minnesota? I don't know. Maybe that's just a weird thing. I thought it was a common term. I know definitely let them eat cake is a phrase people know. But is it a common term to call someone that you just think is really uppity? Is that a common term to call them a cake eater? And again, this is a Minnesota thing. I'm not saying that I do it. I don't like to call people names. I don't think anyone deserves to be called names. but it's definitely part of Minnesota culture. Is that part of your culture too? Or is that just a weird Minnesota thing that I thought was more famous than it actually was because it made it into the Mighty Ducks? All right, moving on. Number 10. This city is home to Berkshire Hathaway, the Union Pacific Railroad, and the College World Series. Yeah, so first of all, shout out Toronto, Ontario, postal abbreviation ON. We are talking about Omaha, Nebraska. And then number 11, this is a two-parter. Number 11, part one, this hot sauce brand from Avery Island, Louisiana, debuted in 1868. And then part two, this rapper hosted Pimp My Ride from 2004 to 2007. I think my least favorite part about this postal abbreviation round is Texas pops up so many times and there aren't very many things with the initials TX. So I have to be creative. Anyway, shout out to Arlington in Houston, Texas. The two-part answer for number 11 is Tabasco and then exhibit. Tabasco and then exhibit. So there you have it. That was round number 5, postal abbreviations. I like writing that one. I could see that one being better with the live game where you can kind of put your brain together with some other people's brains, write some things down, try to think of what the postal abbreviations are. I can see if you're like driving by yourself right now, trying to keep track of the postal abbreviations in your head, that might have been a little bit on the difficult side, but hey, that's why it's in part 2. That's why it's in part 2. Hey, I appreciate y'all playing 5 rounds with me. If you're up for one more, I have one more for you. But it's going to be a subscriber exclusive, a paid subscriber exclusive. You can do that on Spotify. It's $2 a month. Now, I don't do a great job putting out exclusive content all year long. So I kind of say this is more of, if you want to tip me for my efforts, it's $2 a month. Spotify just sort of automatically charges you $2 every month, and that money then goes to me. I appreciate it if you want to leave me a tip. And then especially during the summer months, I try to put out bonus rounds as a thank you. Now, if you're not on Spotify, that's cool. Or maybe you are on Spotify, but $2 a month is not something that you can justify at the moment. I'm also cool with that. I have an honor system here. If you ever like volunteer your time, or if you ever like donate to a charity, I'm really cool with that. Just email me pubtriviagroup@gmail.com, and I'll give you a link so you can access my bonus episodes. Lots of great organizations you can donate to. I always refer people to, I'm a huge Andrew McMahon fan. The guy that was in Something Corporate and Jack's Mannequin, and Andrew McMahon in The Wilderness. He has his foundation, the Dear Jack Foundation, that helps out young adults with cancer. Donate anything to Dear Jack. I would love to give you a link to all of my bonus rounds as a thank you for that. I have being a teacher, I have a huge soft spot for kids. So volunteer your time in a school, volunteer coaching a kid's team, something like that. Just email me about it. I'll give you a folder with all of those rounds. Obviously anything that helps out people in need in your community. Again, just email me about it. I'll send you a link with all those rounds. Or subscribe for $2 a month on Spotify. Leave me a tip. Appreciate that. So anyway, that round that is coming up, if you're interested, is a group of 10 round where all of the answers are going to share their names, at least partially, with characters from How I Met Your Mother. So what are those characters in How I Met Your Mother? Well, all the answers aren't going to have anything to do with How I Met Your Mother, but they'll partially share their name with 10 of that show's biggest characters. So anyway, I hope to see you over at round number 6, the subscriber exclusive round. But if I don't see you there, I'll see you again soon. Peace out and pod on, you nerds. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.